Lakers get a big W, man, to restart the regular season behind AD's 34 points. And LBJ's clutch winning layup and defensive stops, man. Great defensive effort by LeBron James to get to close the win in this game versus the Clippers, man. 103 to 101. Welcome to the Lake Show podcast. Man, it's always great getting a Laker dub, but even sweeter versus the Clippers, man. But before I get into my game recap and thoughts on this game, if it's your first time to the channel and if you're looking for a different flavor of Laker content on the tube and you value objectivity, rationale, logic, unbiased content that's substantive based on empirical data, and that's from a student of the game's perspective, and you love the Lakers like I do, then you've come to the right place. Consider subscribing. And for those of you who are already subs, switch that notification bell to stay up to date when I drop vids. Laker fam, if you want to support my content, the best way to do so will be to shop through my Amazon affiliate link. The link will be in the description. So now let's get into this game and my thoughts in the recap. Getting into the first quarter, Lakers started off with a McGee floater in the paint. I liked how Lakers are moving the ball and, to start this game, followed by a Danny Green 3 in transition as the Clippers failed to communicate in transition. They did a nice job advancing the ball this game. I know Lonzo's done that before with the Lakers, and he continues to do that now. I like the fact that LBJ was doing that not only with Anthony Davis, as he's done that majority of times in the past, but looking for other teammates, particularly Danny Green in transition. He's pretty good with pulling up. So that was a nice recognition play by LBJ in advancing the ball, seeing that he doesn't really advance the ball himself, but with a pass, he can advance the ball as well. But AD was feasting earlier, and overall in this game, man, with 6 points to start, also draws the second foul on Kawhi Leonard, on a rotation to get the charge. Nice defensive anticipation by AD. He's been pretty good with anticipating charges in the paint coming over, man. Like I said, and have said many podcasts that I've done, it's good to have a big man like AD, to be able to rotate and cover a lot of ground. But that was around the 7-minute mark, and then great pass by LBJ at the 6+ minute mark to get McGee on a pass for a dunk off the dribble penetration. LBJ did a solid job facilitating to start the game. 5 assists in the first 7 minutes of the first quarter, as he took a seat, I think, around the 5-minute mark with Kuz and AC coming in, and then AD, man, 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Got to the line a lot during this game versus the Clippers. They just had issues defending him. They didn't have Montrezl Harrell, anybody like that to defend him. And even if they did, AD's going to feast. We already know what he's going to do. He was feasting all quarter long, had 14 points, good start for him. Good quarter by AD. And then I liked how the Lakers were pushing the pace. Like I said, it was good pace during this game. LBJ advancing the ball, and KCP as well, attacking and catching. Usually he comes off the curl when he's in the far left corner, but he was looking to fake like he was coming off the curl, then he would go left and he would penetrate straight to the rim for a layup. He had at least, I want to say, 3 of those type of action plays. So I thought it was good for KCP to be using that as a decoy, getting 3 layups or so off that same action within the first quarter. The Lakers did a great job defensively, man, overall in this game, particularly in the first quarter. They held the Clippers to 38%. And of course, I'm not going to downplay them missing Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. Of course, Lou Williams provides a lot of offense for them and a go-to option for them, kind of a bailout situation similar to Deion Waiters for us. The difference, of course, is that Lou Williams is probably a little more of a more proficient scorer and can score in multiple ways. Deion can, but to probably a lesser degree. They held him to 38%. Forced him to mostly perimeter jump shots that were being missed from the outside. They did a great job defensively. Lakers also, did a good job getting to the line, 13 for 14 from the free throw line. And that was mostly because of AD being 8 for 8. I just liked how they weren't just settling for jump shots, and they were forcing the issue, forcing the referees to draw or call the whistle when they're trying to draw fouls. Of course, they're not, being influenced by the crowd or anything like that to call fouls. So that's kind of the good thing about this. I know people were complaining about the simulated noise. I don't really give a shit about that, being watching the game. I'm just looking at the technical aspect as a student. I'm looking at the intricacies of it and, seeing what the players feed off of and seeing, their body language, et cetera, et cetera. They're just hoopers. Of course, the crowd and fans, are a big part of the game. Don't get me wrong, but, anybody could hoop. That is a hooper, basically, in any situation. So, but Kuz, came in off the bench, looking very confident, man. I know he had his big game, at 25 points a game or two ago, and then he had 7 points to start off the bench in the first quarter. I just like the fact that he was looking to go right away. He was looking to catch and shoot. And, man, shout out to his defense. He was great defensively, probably his best defensive effort I've ever seen as a Laker. But, it's good to see him be another option outside of AD and LeBron. Waiters as well, man. That's what's going to offset Lou Williams when he returns, and then having like J.R. Smith. But the second quarter, LBJ starts with his first points of the game, a strong drive, and a dunk on Kawhi Leonard, blowing right by him in transition, man, getting that little screen from Dwight Howard, I believe, and then great attack by LBJ. Leonard cuts into the deficit with a three-point shot as the Lakers up by 7 at the 9-minute mark or so. Man, the Clippers, shout out to them. I'm going to give props where it's due. Of course, they're a rival or whatever. And the media is trying to hype it up and all that stuff, the LA showdown. You can't have an LA battle or whatever, when they haven't won shit. It is what it is. But they're a threat. Let's keep it 100. They're a threat. They're going to be a threat overall, and they're going to be in a way in terms of the Lakers winning championship. They're going to make it tough, and they're well coached. So, they're going to bring out the best in us, and we're going to bring out the best in them. And that's what's going to be great. So I hope we meet up with them in the West Finals. We'll see how it goes. But, Clippers close it to within 3. Then Kuz came back, with the left corner catch and shoot 3. Then Waiters, man, with a nice scoop-a-doop layup. Looking like a little LeBron James with that spin move. Nice move by Dion Waiters to get the Lakers up 46-38, and then Leonard started off slow for the Clippers and was in foul trouble. Him and Paul George as well, but mostly, that's what was an advantage for the Lakers. Other than the lack of depth, it was the early foul trouble for the Clippers. In the second quarter, scoring 12 or so of his 19 points. Kawhi Leonard, man, he could start off slow. It doesn't matter. Kawhi Leonard's fluidity in his game overall, man, and his ability, his mental psyche is superb. His mid-range pull-up game is superb, man. I can't say enough about it. As a student observing, I appreciate the mid-range game because it's heavily, underutilized in the league, now by a lot of players who just want to jack up threes and shit, trying to be Steph Curry and all that stuff. But, Leonard reminds me of a younger Michael Jordan. I'm not saying he's as great as him, but he reminds me of him in terms of his poise on the floor, just his ability to hit the mid-range, and then he plays excellent on the defensive end as a two-way player. I mean, Michael Jordan, has won, I believe, a Defensive Player of the Year, and then had a few hundred blocks in that same year as a guard. That's pretty hard to do. I know Dwayne Wade's done something like that as well, but just his proficiency and his mindset and his approach to the game, man, it reminds me of a younger Michael Jordan. But Leonard kept the Clippers into the game, overcoming a 12-point deficit. And then the Lakers, I thought, in the second quarter didn't do a good job forcing the ball, out of Kawhi Leonard's hands, and also not getting the ball to Anthony Davis, who had 14 points in the first quarter and got to the line a lot. It made no damn sense to me. It was just a poor job by the coaching staff not to emphasize getting the ball to Anthony Davis. He should have been touching the rock every play down. And the Clippers were, able to capitalize off of that lack of execution by the Lakers, and Clippers lack size in the inside. They lack depth. So the Lakers, they should have took advantage and they should have punished them down low with AD. But they did a poor job after AD, was going to the line, forcing the issue. There's no way that, Paul George or Kawhi Leonard or Jermichael Green, they're going to be able to defend Anthony Davis in the inside. No way. They have nobody to defend him. So I just thought it was just a mental lapse by the Lakers. And then Lakers went ice cold, man, 6 for 20 in the second quarter, where Kawhi Leonard capitalized. Like I said, he started off slow, but it's Kawhi Leonard, man. He's a top, and he doesn't get props, man. For me, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not just a Laker fan. I'm a basketball fan first and a student of the game. Kawhi Leonard is a top 3, top 4 player in the league, period, when healthy. How you consider that? And I asked people, in terms of, I asked them, in terms of how they qualify their top players. To me, I qualify my top players like this: players that's been in the finals and has won championships, or an MVP or anything like that, or a finals MVP within the last few years. It's been KD, it's been Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James. That's how I determine my top players. Whether they've been in finals multiple years, whether they've been have finals MVP, whether they won a season MVP, and their impact overall in the playoffs. So that's why Kawhi Leonard to me is a top 4 player. The fact that some people I've seen, him not being in the top 5 is ridiculous, man. You can't not put a great player that impact, regardless of what he is, a Clipper, whatever. But he's a hell of a player, man. He's a hell of a player. But he had 19 points, and then AD with 20 points, 4 rebounds, and Kuz with 10 points off the bench. Despite Leonard's second quarter, Kuzma did a decent job on Kawhi Leonard, forcing him to hit contested jump shots at times. It's just better offense. That's the greatness of Kawhi Leonard. Great defense by Kuz and great effort to make him force shots or take contested shots or tough shots. But Lakers go up by 2 into the second half, 54-52. That last defensive effort by LeBron James on Leonard to end the quarter, you can tell. You could just tell that LBJ is in playoff mode. He's locked in, man. That's something I know about LeBron James. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but when he has the pieces to win a championship, man, he's going to be locked in. He's going to play harder. He's not going to take plays off unless he knows he's defeated. Then he's going to do that, and he'll try to stat pad and all that shit, and just to say that that he did his job. But he's got the pieces to win a championship, so he's staying locked in, and it's a great chance for him. KD's not playing. Kyrie yet. Steph, they're not. Steph, I think did come back, but they're not in the playoffs Golden State. So, again, I've said this when I released the video a while ago. The best opportunity right now for LBJ to win a championship is now. He has to win, and in my mind, he has to deliver one championship in his tenure, or it's going to be failed. It's going to be a failed experience. So I expect at least one championship, and that's not a lot to ask for. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping for the best. But he's locked in. That was great D by LBJ, not allowing Leonard to drive and get past him. He was moving his feet well, cut off the angle. And then Leonard tried to, sell him on the pump fake, and LBJ didn't bite because he had his pregame meal, as Stu Lance would say. But I just love the effort defensively by LeBron James. Shout out to him. I'm going to get on him later on in terms of his approach offensively, but he did a hell of a job defensively this game. In third quarter, man, the second half was a three-point barrage by the Clippers and the Lakers, particularly by the Clippers, man. PG got hot. He starts off with 3 threes, gets the Clippers up 61-55, overcoming a 12-point deficit in the first half. Lakers have to do a better job contesting 3-point shots. That's been their Achilles heels all season long. In terms of losing players in transition, you got to know your personnel, man. You can't just allow players to pull up comfortably in transition. You have to have somebody there that meets them at the 3-point line and chase them. Off the line, like Coach Vogel said, he wants to build the defense from the inside out. Meaning he's going to have perimeter players force 3-point shooters or shooters to drive the lane and make decisions, whether it's going to be out for a pass or against JaVale McGee and AD, being that our defensive prowess inside is great. And it's going to alter shots and things of that nature. So they got to do a better job. And then LBJ being very passive this game. It's good that he's passing the ball, but versus the Clippers or elite teams, man, he's going to need to be assertive on the offensive end. Oftentimes, the Clippers were sagging off him, daring him to shoot, and, he should have shot the ball and made the damn play. His passiveness hurts the Lakers at times on the offensive end. This is why Rondo is missed. Laker fam, because, LBJ full-time at the point guard position, it ain't going to help the Lakers win a chip. It's just not. He's best at scoring. They need him to score the fucking ball. He has to be a threat offensively. And I thought he was doing a poor job, and his approach to this game was, too passive. It was very passive. Lakers struggling first 5 minutes of the third, only with 1 point. And again, that's the lead, as the leader of the team, man. I got to get on him. If he's the greatest of all time, like people proclaim, I'm gonna have higher standards for him. You guys could call it hating, whatever. Brown fans could come on this channel and say that, but that's how much I respect him and his greatness. I'm going to hold him to a higher standard. So he's got to do a better job at that. He's got to do a better job at that. The Clippers were taking advantage. They had all the momentum. Up 12 or so, first 5 minutes of third quarter. Lakers looked lethargic, sloppy, to start the third. They just didn't have it. The Clippers did at that time. And then, nice find by Kuz off the dribble on a Caruso cut for the open layup at the 4+ minute mark or so. And, Caruso plays well without the ball. I said before that he's probably I would say the best off the ball player in the Lakers roster. He moves very well without the ball, and he's underrated as a finisher, of course. So AD then cuts it to 71-68. Then he ties it a minute later or so with another 3. Then Lakers go on a 17-5 run. Tied up 71 to 71 rather, with 2 minutes to go into the third quarter. I thought AD, really helped the Lakers salvage a very sloppy third quarter to keep the Lakers within a fighting chance in this game when it kind of got away with 12 points he had. I think the Lakers were down as much as about 11 to 12 points within the third quarter, especially within the first 5 minutes when they went ice cold from the field. And then Lakers go down into the fourth quarter by 1, 77-76. Liked how Coach Vogel responded to the Lakers being cold offensively. He did a poor job, the coaching staff, in the beginning, not getting AD the ball, especially when it's getting to the free throw line, forcing the issue. But in terms of having AD at the 5 in the small ball lineup, man, that's, again, I've said this many times, that's when the Lakers are more potent offensively, because it's going to bring the opposing big away from the basket, and they're going to be able to penetrate and get easier offense. And then, of course, AD can put the ball on the floor and force the bigs to come out, and it's going to be hard for him to be defended offensively. And it's because of the spacing that he creates, as Stu Lance would say, that's where the bigs hate to come out, where the air is thin to defend. But good shit by AD and Coach Vogel to capitalize in the small ball situation that really helped the Lakers offensively cut the deficit. So, Davis ended the third quarter with 32 points, and then onto the fourth. Shout out to Kyle Kuzma, man, sliding his feet, showing good defensive activity this game with effort, forcing the turnover on PG to start the fourth quarter. Great job by Kyle Kuzma, man. Once again, he's improved defensively. He can't be focused just on scoring and try to be the third option, man. That's obviously not going to happen with Dion Waiters. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but he can't force it. He has to do other little things, intangibles, such as, effort on defense. Of course, Kawhi Leonard's going to get his, but once again, shout out to Kyle Kuzma, man. He played great defensively this game, showed a lot of great effort, forcing, getting some block shots and forcing tough shots by Kawhi Leonard and other players. So it was a great defensive effort for Kyle Kuzma. And then Waiters attacks the key for a layup to get the Lakers the lead. And so much for a lack of shooting, man. The Lakers, got hot from 3 point land, man. A 3 by Dion. I get buckets. Waiters, a 3 by him. And then Kuzma off the dribble, penetration from LBJ to get the Lakers a 5-point lead. He hit a 3 in the corner. It was 85-80 at that time, and then Lakers overcoming an 11-point deficit from a sloppy start to the second half. I thought Doc Rivers, man, made a poor decision to sub out Paul George and Kawhi Leonard at the same time. One of them has to be on the floor almost at all times. Because they didn't have Lou Williams or Montrezl Harrell, which helped the Lakers regain the lead. Credit to the Lakers, of course, but, that's just bad coaching by Doc Rivers. I thought he really aided us in that regard. It is what it is. We capitalize off their mistakes. They capitalize off of our mistakes. But key layup for, Danny Green on an LBJ drive, then Caruso with a key steal down the stretch with a minute plus to go. PG then ties it at the 28-second mark on a 3-point shot, 101 to 101. Then LBJ comes back, man, with an offensive rebound and a miss to get the layup inside to take a 103 to 101 lead at the 12-second mark. And then, man, down the stretch, this is where greatness shows. And LeBron James' leadership, despite him playing poor offensively, and it was because of the fact that he made a decision not to be assertive. His mindset and approach, again, was terrible. But the whole thing is he kept energy on the defensive end, and he showed great leadership despite him not playing good offensively and shooting poor in the first half. The Lakers won on a great defensive play by him. He was on Kawhi Leonard, and then he switched on to PG at the end of the game. And I thought he played solid defense, forcing him into a leaning 3-point shot. It was a great defensive effort. Like I said, he was poor offensively due to his lack of assertiveness, but he made up on the defensive end. So it's always good to show that type of leadership and poise, despite not having things go your way. You don't hang your head low. You just play hard, and eventually, man, things go to the aggressor. So great effort by LBJ in the defensive end. Great effort by Kyle Kuzma on the defensive end. Shout out to both of them. And also Caruso getting that key steal. I'll get into him a little later because I'm not going to let him off the hook, man. I'm going to give my constructive criticism of him. But nonetheless, he got a key steal at the end of the game to help seal the win. And I got a rant on LBJ. Like I was saying earlier, I have to. LeBron has to be more assertive offensively. His inactivity, I thought that hurt the Lakers this game. If he's not active on the offensive end, it makes the game tougher in terms of, getting a win. And it also puts unnecessary pressure on Anthony Davis and others to, pick up what he should be offering. He's a superstar player. There's no way he can't be involved offensively. So he has to have that mentality, man, to be a killer. That's how he has to have in order for the Lakers to win a championship. He's not a passer. He cannot let any defense relax, especially in the playoffs. Get that shit in check. You're too great to settle and be passive. 30,000 plus points. You can't be a pass first type of guy. You're a greater scorer. Let's keep it 100. You ain't a pass first cat. That shit was killing me all fucking game. I kept yelling, man, shoot the fucking ball. Take the mid-range jump shot. The Clippers, I thought, were practically saying, here, take it. We're giving you the jump shot. We're giving you the green light. And that shit pissed me off watching this game. I just kept yelling at the computer screen as I was watching because I'm just like, shoot the ball. The defense is taking something away. They're giving you something, as my coach would always tell me. And you have to take that. You have to have that mindset of, I get buckets. Nobody can stop me. All I see is the ball going through the rim. And LBJ is too great to be passive. So I got to give Bron constructive criticism. But also I got to give him props, like I said, on the defensive end. This game, he came through in the clutch and got, a key layup to help seal the win. And then a great defensive stop towards the end, switching onto both the Clippers' best players in terms of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So, terrible offensively, man, but props on the defensive end for LBJ to help the Lakers get the win. And now Caruso, man, I got to get on him as well. Like I said earlier, I'm going to give constructive criticism, but I'm also going to give props where it's due. He was poor on distributing the basketball, missing wide open shots, man. Too many wide open shots. One of my main man, on Twitter, CL Owens, we both see the game similar and we see the value in Rajon Rondo, but most don't because they're fanboys. It is what it is. I'm not a fanboy. I just evaluate players and look at the game on a student aspect. But Caruso, again, needs to really work on his ball handling and his decision making and making open shots. If that was Rondo, man, the vast majority of fans, especially the Caruso stands, they would have been ready to riot on Rajon Rondo, man. That's why I don't see Caruso taking minutes or being the main go-to option at the guard position off the bench because he lacks the ability to discern. He lacks the ability to make decisions when he's penetrating to the rim, and he's not going to be able to hit open shots. He's mostly a energy type of player and a solid defender. I'm not saying he can't hit open shots, but he's not ready yet. And I thought, him having, before LBJ came, him having a good stretch down the season, Laker fans were ready to crown him, including guys who who do Laker content and the blue verified check marks. They're ready to crown his ass, and I'm like, slow your roll. He's got to earn it. He's got to earn it, man. But Rondo's impact is more vast because despite y'all wanting to realize that or not, especially come playoffs, as he's a different animal. He's able to quarterback like Tom Brady, make audible changes, call out defensive coverages. Just the nuance and scheme of things, his mental psyche, man, is important because he's a veteran. He provides that, and then not only that, he shoots better in the playoffs. That's just a historical fact that can't be refuted. So the numbers are there. No, anybody could try to challenge me on that, but they're not going to win. Just because the proof's in the pudding when it comes to Rajon Rondo. So he's going to get minutes because of his impact as a passer and then his ability to also attack the cup and make players better. That's what he does. Caruso doesn't do that yet, but he is a great energy player, and he hustles, and that's why I get it. That's why people love him. He got the key still. I give him props for that, but he's not ready yet. He's got ways to go, man. He has to earn it in my book in terms of being the main go-to option as a guard off the bench. He's not a starting guard either, like some people have said on Twitter, and they're ready to crown him. I'm not ready to crown him, and I haven't been because I'm not a person that lives in right away, right now, or whatever, and then be emotional. Person has a bad game, and then you're ready to say trade him. But he's great in spurts, and he feeds off the crowd very well. That's also one of his his traits as a player. With no real crowd, how will he fare? I see he's one of those players that feeds off the crowd mostly, more than anybody on this roster, but we'll see how it goes. But I got to give him props for the key steal, but I also have to get on him a little bit. And then player stats: AD 34 points, 4 assists, man, 8 rebounds, barbecue chicken alert, man. He was just feasting all day versus the Clippers. But 4 turnovers, man. I got to get on him as well for that. AD has to learn how to make decisions faster when the defense is focusing on him. He holds onto the ball too long from what I was observing. Allowing the defense to trap him on the baseline or collapse on him. He has to play more face-up. And the reason being, and I was saying this on Twitter while I was watching the game, man, he's able to see the defense if he's playing more face-up from all angles. Because if his back's to the basket and he turns, the defense is going to be waiting for him there. He's not going to be able to see the court more from left to right. So him in the face-up is going to be much better in terms of defensive coverage for the opposing team, and then him being able to see things and make quicker decisions. AD is much better in the face-up game anyway. He needs to improve on decision-making and passing out of double teams. Other than that great game, he showed why he could be the best player eventually in the league. Probably in the next 2 years or so, especially if the Lakers win a championship or top 3 in the very, very near future. His time is now to me. I believe he got next. He has to be able to not only win the Defensive Player of the Year, but if he's able to win the Finals MVP, man, or have a great performance, I believe it's going to spring him into that conversation in terms of him being a top 5 player in the league. To me, he's probably I would say maybe in the 7th or 8th best player. He's definitely in the top 10, but he's not in the top 5 yet. I can't necessarily put him over guys like Giannis who have been deeper in the playoffs, or maybe even James Harden, just in my perspective. Just because he's a Laker, I can't have that bias. I have to be objective and look at the facts in terms of other guys' career. But that's just my perspective. Kuzma, 16 points, 7 assists, 11 rebounds, played very well. Love the fact that he, made quicker decisions offensively. But again, I got to shout him out, man. We know what he could do offensively. It's the little things that I care about, too, when I'm watching the game. This is, like I said, his best defensive effort I've seen from him. He was in the defensive stance. Usually he stands pretty erected, but he was sliding his feet, contesting shots, forcing players into difficult shots. Even got some blocks on Reggie Jackson. I think he even got a block on Kawhi Leonard, but I just love the effort. So good shit by Kyle Kuzma. Keep it up. Hopefully he's able to be consistent. Like I said, I think if he's scoring anything close to 18 points a game, man, come the playoffs, the Lakers are going to be very, very potent and tough to beat. But hopefully that takes place. And then of course with Deion Waiters as well, whether they're alternating between each other, whoever scores that. But Kuzma, I think he's coming into a groove and he's having that confidence. But LBJ, 16 points, 7 assists, 11 rebounds, 5 turnovers though, man. Again, Rajon Rondo is missed, and he'll take pressure off LeBron James as the primary ball handler, which will allow Bron to focus more on scoring. He forced the issue and dribbled out the shot clock to 10. Then he tried to operate late in the shot clock, allowing the defense to collapse on him. And he would turn the ball over as opposed to taking what the defense gave him, the fucking mid-range jump shot. The fucking mid-range was there, man, the whole game. I'm telling you. But again, props to him on his defense and effort down the stretch, man, helped the Lakers seal the win. Waiters off the bench, solid 11 points, 3 rebounds. Close game, Laker fan, but great win to restart the season going towards the playoffs. Lakers in my mind need to go 6-2 at most in these 8 games, but I'm gonna go conservative in terms of my prediction. I'm gonna go 5-3, but I'm hoping it's 6-2. I don't see LBJ or AD and Kuzma playing in the rest of the games, especially with the seeding cemented pretty much, and there's not really much to play for, honestly, other than getting their reps in and getting the chemistry. So I see the Lakers probably deciding to sit them all 3 or so, probably definitely AD and LeBron, probably the last 4 games or so, but we'll see how that goes. And last point I want to make, man, the Clippers' death, I believe this game was exposed with Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell out. Lakers are deeper, no question, in my mind. Trez gives them offensive rebounding energy, and he's kind of growing as an offensive player. And then Sweet Lou, man, gives him buckets. He gets to the free throw line, slows down the game for them, and a player that can make decisions off pick and roll and things of that nature, and hit big shots outside of PG and Kawhi Leonard. So I believe their rotation, their depth has been exposed this game, and the Lakers are deeper. But the second unit struggled tremendously offensively without them. Again, that's why the Lakers signed Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith to offset Lou Williams, and then Dwight Howard last game versus Trez, I think the Christmas game or something like that. He had a hard time keeping him off the boards. He was getting in foul trouble because of Dwight Howard's physicality, so he's able to kind of offset that as well. Because JaVale McGee's not good in terms of boxing out. He's kind of has a frail, slender frame, but Dwight Howard's a bruiser, man. He's a true bruiser. He's the only kind of bruiser that we have other than DeMarcus Cousins, but he's not playing, of course. So the Lakers with Dion Waiters, J.R. Smith, Caruso, Rajon Rondo when he returns, Kyle Kuzma, to name a few, they just have more options off the bench. That's one major point to me this game in terms of the Clippers. If I'm the Lakers, I'm going into a series versus them in the playoffs. Assuming they are to meet, I'm going in confident. If the Lakers are able to defend like this, how they did with Kyle Kuzma, being able to kind of contain Kawhi Leonard, Paul George at times, Dion Waiters playing as well off the bench. AD doing his thing, and then LeBron being solid. I believe we can beat the Clippers. Due to more depth, because we know what the All Stars are going to do. I believe it comes down to the depth, and then more on the defensive end to determine the series. And of course, the obvious, which are the pair of All Stars. Which 2 of the All Stars on both respective teams, which one or which pair have the greater impact. I do believe that if the Lakers or the Clippers are going to go in the playoffs, whether it's in the Western Conference or in the second round or Western Conference Finals or the second round, that is going to go 7 games, and I see the Lakers winning due to those perspectives that I mentioned earlier. But we'll see how it goes, man. I'm very confident, and of course I'm going to be betting on the Lakers. But the Clippers are a very dangerous team. They're very good defensively, and they're better outside in terms of their perimeter shooting. But they're light in the ass. We have the ability to attack the cup with AD, and then we also have the ability to play more versatile on the offensive end with AD at the 5, and then we have more depth. So we'll see if we're able to capitalize on those advantages come the playoffs if we manage to face them. But anyway, Laker fam, it's a wrap for the podcast. Get up in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about this game, man. Great win for the Lakers. Show some excitement on the dub. I'm definitely excited moving on into the playoffs, man. Beating a threat in my mind, to the championship. A great team, of course, is going to be in my mind, of course, the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Bucks. Teams like that are going to be threats. And the Rockets, the Mavericks. Don't sleep on the Toronto Raptors as well, man, in the East. So we'll see. Philly, I don't really have them in there, just my perspective, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, get up in the comment section. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. I'm Tony on the Lake Show Podcast, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.